Good morning, everyone. Kindness is often praised as one of the greatest virtues a person can have. We are told to be kind, to always help, and to never expect anything in return. But today I want to challenge that idea with the harsh truth. Not everyone deserves your kindness. Before you judge that statement, hear me out. Kindness is a gift, not an obligation. It should be given to those who appreciate it, respect it, and don't take advantage of it. Unfortunately, in this world, there are people who will see your kindness as weakness. They will manipulate, exploit, and drain you without a second thought. Kindness is often seen as one of the greatest traits a person can have. It is an expression of compassion, understanding, and goodwill toward others. A kind person is admired, appreciated, and respected. However, while kindness is a beautiful quality, it is not something that should be given indiscriminately. The truth is, not everyone deserves your kindness. In an ideal world, kindness would always be met with gratitude, and good deeds would always be acknowledged and returned in some way. But the reality is different. Some people will take advantage of kindness, seeing it as an opportunity to manipulate or exploit others. They will mistake generosity for weakness and use it as a tool to serve their selfish interests. The more kindness you give them, the more they demand, often without offering anything in return. There are people who thrive on taking from others without a second thought. They expect patience, understanding, and forgiveness, yet they never offer the same in return. These individuals can drain your energy, rob you of your peace, and make you question your worth. When you continue to extend kindness to those who mistreat you, it doesn't just affect you emotionally, it also diminishes the true value of kindness itself. That is why it is essential to recognize that kindness is not just a random act, but an intentional choice. It should be extended to those who appreciate it, those who respect you, and those who genuinely deserve it. If kindness is given without discernment, it loses its power and becomes a tool for those who take advantage of it. By understanding this, you can protect your emotional well-being and ensure that your kindness remains meaningful rather than wasted on those who only seek to misuse it. Kindness is often associated with strength, yet in the eyes of some, it is perceived as a weakness. There are individuals who, rather than appreciating kindness, see it as an opportunity to manipulate, deceive, or take advantage of others. These people mistake compassion for gullibility and use the goodwill of kind-hearted individuals for their own selfish gains. The harsh reality is that not everyone has good intentions. Some people operate with a mindset of self-interest, prioritizing their own needs without concern for how their actions affect others. When they encounter someone who is kind, they see an easy target, someone who will forgive repeatedly, someone who will say yes even when it is inconvenient, and someone who will continue to offer help despite being mistreated. Instead of valuing kindness, these individuals exploit it, using it as a tool to gain power, control, or resources without reciprocation. This type of behavior can be seen in various aspects of life: personal relationships, workplaces, friendships, and even within families. In friendships, there are those who only reach out when they need a favor, disappearing once they've gotten what they wanted. In workplaces, employees or colleagues who are consistently kind and helpful may be burdened with extra responsibilities simply because they are too polite to say no. In romantic relationships, one partner may continuously take without giving, expecting endless patience and understanding while contributing little to the relationship. Even within families, there can be relatives who exploit kindness, constantly demanding support without appreciation or gratitude. The problem with this exploitation is that it drains the person who is being kind. The more they give, the more they are expected to continue giving, often at the expense of their own well-being. It creates a cycle where the kind individual is taken for granted, feeling exhausted and unappreciated. Over time, this can lead to frustration, resentment, and emotional exhaustion. To make matters worse, when the kind person finally decides to set boundaries or stand up for themselves, the ones who have been exploiting them often react negatively. They may accuse them of being selfish, ungrateful, or even cruel. This is because their expectation was never to respect kindness. It was to use it for their own benefit. Once they can no longer take advantage, they reveal their true nature, showing that they never valued kindness in the first place. This is why it is important to recognize the signs of manipulation and set clear boundaries. Kindness should never be an invitation for others to walk all over you. It should not mean sacrificing your own needs, happiness, or self-respect for the sake of those who refuse to appreciate it. Learning to differentiate between those who genuinely deserve kindness and those who merely seek to exploit it is crucial in protecting both your emotional and mental well-being. Kindness is a beautiful and admirable quality, but it should never come at the cost of your self-respect, dignity, or emotional well-being. Many people grow up believing that kindness means always saying yes, always putting others first, and always being available, no matter how they are treated in return. However, this mindset can lead to one of the most harmful situations, being used by those who only seek to take advantage of generosity. There is a significant difference between being kind and being a doormat. Kindness comes from a place of strength. It is an intentional choice to offer compassion, help, and support to those who need it. But allowing yourself to be used is not kindness. It is self-neglect. When you continuously give to people who do not appreciate your efforts, when you make sacrifices for those who never reciprocate, and when you put others' needs above your own to the point of exhaustion, you are not practicing kindness. You are enabling toxic behavior. One of the biggest dangers of unchecked kindness is that it creates unhealthy dynamics in relationships. If you constantly say yes to unreasonable demands, others will come to expect it from you. They will assume that no matter how much they take, you will continue to give. This can happen in friendships, romantic relationships, workplaces, and even within families. The moment you start setting boundaries, these same people may act offended, angry, or even manipulative, making you feel guilty for not continuing to let them use you. The truth is, people who genuinely care about you will respect your boundaries. They will not take advantage of your kindness or expect you to always put their needs before your own. However, those who are only benefiting from your generosity will reveal their true nature when you stop allowing them to exploit you. They will show resentment, try to manipulate you into feeling guilty, or even accuse you of being unkind simply because you refuse to be used any longer. Being kind should not mean tolerating disrespect. It does not mean allowing people to drain your energy, take advantage of your generosity, or manipulate your emotions. True kindness includes being kind to yourself, acknowledging your own worth, valuing your time, and understanding that you do not owe unlimited patience and self-sacrifice to those who refuse to treat you with respect. There is nothing wrong with helping others, but it should never come at the cost of your own happiness, mental health, or self-respect. You have every right to say no when needed, to walk away from toxic situations, and to prioritize your own well-being. Being a kind person does not mean you have to be available to everyone at all times. It is okay to be selective with your kindness and to ensure that it is given to those who truly deserve and appreciate it. Kindness is a valuable resource, much like time, energy, and trust. Just as we do not give our time and energy to everyone without thought, we should also be selective about who receives our kindness. While being kind is an admirable quality, it should not be given recklessly or without consideration. Not everyone appreciates kindness, and some may even take advantage of it, using it for their own benefit without any regard for the person offering it. Many people believe that kindness should be unconditional, given freely to everyone regardless of how they treat us. While this idea may sound noble, in reality it can be harmful. When we give kindness to the wrong people, those who do not respect it, those who take advantage of it, and those who exploit it for their own gain, we are not practicing kindness. We are setting ourselves up for disappointment and harm. True kindness requires wisdom. It involves understanding who genuinely appreciates and values it and who merely seeks to use it for their own selfish reasons. In our personal relationships, for example, we often encounter people who only show up when they need something. They may act friendly and kind, but their actions are driven by self-interest rather than genuine care. These individuals are not true friends, they are opportunists. If we continue to offer our kindness to them, hoping they will eventually change, we only end up feeling drained and unappreciated. Instead, we should focus on giving our kindness to those who reciprocate, those who support us, and those who genuinely care about our well-being. The same principle applies to the workplace. Some colleagues or employers may take advantage of a kind and hard-working person, assigning them extra tasks, expecting them to work beyond their responsibilities, or using their helpful nature to avoid their own responsibilities. If we do not set boundaries and wisely choose where to direct our kindness, we can easily find ourselves overwhelmed, unrecognized, and exhausted. Being kind does not mean allowing others to exploit our willingness to help. It means knowing when to say no and when to stand up for ourselves. Even within families, kindness should not be given without discernment. There are relatives who demand constant emotional or financial support, yet never offer appreciation or assistance in return. Some people feel obligated to be endlessly kind to toxic family members, fearing that setting boundaries would make them appear ungrateful or selfish. However, true kindness does not mean tolerating mistreatment, even from family. Being wise about where we invest our kindness means recognizing when relationships are one-sided and when it is necessary to step back to protect our own well-being. Additionally, wisdom in kindness applies to strangers and acquaintances. While helping others is a good thing, we must be careful about blindly trusting people or giving too much without understanding their intentions. Some people use the kindness of others as a means of manipulation. They may ask for help repeatedly, make empty promises, or use guilt as a tool to keep taking without ever giving back. If we are not careful, our kindness can be exploited, leaving us feeling used and drained. To be truly kind, we must also be wise. Kindness should not be given indiscriminately, but rather directed toward those who appreciate and respect it. Being kind does not mean allowing ourselves to be mistreated, taken for granted, or manipulated. Instead, it means recognizing who truly deserves our kindness and ensuring that it is given in a way that benefits both ourselves and those who genuinely appreciate it. One of the most important yet often overlooked aspects of kindness is the ability to set boundaries. Many people believe that being kind means always being available, always saying yes, and always putting others before themselves. However, without clear and firm boundaries, kindness can easily become a gateway for manipulation, exploitation, and emotional exhaustion. Setting boundaries is not selfish. It is a necessary act of self-respect and protection. Boundaries define how we allow others to treat us. They establish what is acceptable and what is not in our relationships, whether personal, professional, or social. Without boundaries, we open ourselves up to being overworked, disrespected, and taken for granted. People who lack boundaries often find themselves constantly drained, unable to say no, and feeling guilty when they try to put their own needs first. This happens because they have been conditioned to believe that being kind means sacrificing their own well-being for the sake of others. But true kindness includes kindness to oneself. And that starts with setting firm, healthy boundaries. A common mistake people make is assuming that if they set boundaries, they will be seen as rude or unkind. The truth is, the only people who get upset about your boundaries are the ones who benefited from you not having any. If someone truly values and respects you, they will also respect your need for personal space, time, and limits. Those who react negatively to your boundaries are likely the ones who are taking advantage of your kindness in the first place. Setting boundaries is especially important in relationships. Whether in friendships, family dynamics, or romantic partnerships, there will always be individuals who push limits, expecting more from you than they give in return. A friend who constantly asks for favors but disappears when you need help. A family member who expects you to drop everything for them but never considers your needs. Or a partner who takes your patience and support for granted. These are all examples of people who will continue to take advantage if no boundaries are established. Workplace boundaries are just as crucial. If you are known as the helpful employee who always picks up extra tasks without complaint, people will continue to pile work onto you, often without recognition or appreciation. Being a team player is important, but there is a fine line between being cooperative and being exploited. Learning to say no to unreasonable requests, refusing to take on work that is not your responsibility, and making it clear that your time and energy are valuable are all necessary steps in maintaining a balanced and respectful work environment. Social boundaries are another area where many struggle. There are people who will take advantage of kindness by demanding time, emotional support, or financial help without offering anything in return. Some may guilt trip you into always being there for them, making you feel obligated to meet their demands. However, constantly giving without receiving any respect or appreciation in return is not healthy. It is okay to say no to people who drain your energy and make you feel unappreciated. Setting boundaries does not mean becoming cold or unkind. It simply means valuing yourself enough to refuse mistreatment. It is about recognizing that your time, energy, and emotional well-being are just as important as anyone else's. When you set boundaries, you teach people how to treat you. Those who respect your boundaries are the ones who genuinely care about you, while those who resist them only prove that they were never truly interested in your well-being. At the end of the day, kindness without boundaries leads to exhaustion, resentment, and emotional burnout. Learning to establish limits is one of the most powerful ways to protect yourself while still being a kind and compassionate person. It allows you to give without being drained, help without being taken advantage of, and love without losing yourself in the process. One of the hardest lessons many people have to learn is that saying no is not only acceptable but also necessary for self-respect. From an early age, many of us are conditioned to believe that saying yes is the right thing to do, whether it's to please others, avoid conflict, or maintain relationships. However, constantly saying yes to everything and everyone can lead to exhaustion, resentment, and a loss of personal identity. Learning to say no when necessary is a crucial part of self-care, self-respect, and emotional well-being. Saying no is especially important when people take advantage of your kindness. There are individuals who will always ask for favors but never be available when you need help. There are friends who will rely on you for emotional support but disappear when you need them. There are colleagues who will dump extra work on you because they know you won't refuse. If you don't put a stop to these behaviors by firmly saying no, people will continue to take advantage of you without a second thought. Many people struggle with saying no because they fear disappointing others. They don't want to be seen as rude, selfish, or unkind. However, saying no does not mean you are a bad person. It simply means you value yourself and your time. If someone gets upset because you set a boundary, that is their problem, not yours. True friends and genuine people will respect your decision, while those who are only using you will show their true colors the moment you refuse to give them what they want. Saying no is not just about protecting yourself from being overworked or taken advantage of. It is also about making room for what truly matters. If you say yes to everything, you will have no time for your own needs, passions, and priorities. You will find yourself constantly putting others first while neglecting your own well-being. Over time, this can lead to burnout, stress, and a deep sense of frustration. By learning to say no, you create space for the things that truly deserve your time and energy. One of the most powerful things about saying no is that it helps you gain control over your life. Instead of being at the mercy of others' demands, you start making choices that align with your values and priorities. You learn that your time is valuable, your energy is limited, and your kindness should not be given to those who do not appreciate it. At first, saying no can be difficult, especially if you are used to always agreeing to things out of obligation. You may feel guilty or worry about how others will react. But over time, you will realize that saying no is a form of self-respect. It shows that you are not willing to be used, that you have boundaries, and that you recognize your own worth. The more you practice it, the easier it becomes, and the more you will find yourself surrounded by people who truly respect and appreciate you for who you are, not just for what you can do for them. While kindness is often seen as a virtue, it is important to acknowledge that not everyone deserves it. The unfortunate reality is that not everyone has good intentions, and some people will exploit kindness for their own selfish benefit. These individuals see kindness not as a noble quality but as an opportunity, a weakness they can manipulate to serve their own interests. Manipulative people often prey on those who are naturally kind, compassionate, and willing to help. They recognize that kind-hearted individuals have a difficult time saying no, setting boundaries, or standing up for themselves. They use this knowledge to take advantage, often disguising their true motives behind a mask of neediness, charm, or even friendship. These people may pretend to be grateful for your kindness, but in reality, they see it as something they can continually exploit without giving anything in return. For example, in relationships, whether romantic, familial, or friendships, some individuals will take and take, offering little to nothing in return. They may guilt trip you into helping them, making you feel obligated to go out of your way for them while they do nothing to reciprocate. Some will manipulate your emotions, making you feel responsible for their problems and using your kindness as a tool to avoid taking responsibility for their own actions. They know that your natural inclination is to help, so they create situations where you feel like you have no choice but to give in to their demands. This kind of manipulation is also common in the workplace. There are colleagues and even employers who will use kindness as a reason to push extra responsibilities onto someone. If you are always willing to help, they will assume you can take on more work without hesitation. They may frame it as a compliment, saying things like, "I know you're the only one I can count on," or "You're such a team player." But their true intention is to benefit from your willingness to help while doing less themselves. If you allow this pattern to continue, you may find yourself overworked and underappreciated while others take advantage of your efforts. Another way people use kindness against you is by twisting your good nature to manipulate situations in their favor. Some individuals will purposely push your limits, knowing you will be too kind to react aggressively or call them out. They test your patience, knowing you will always forgive. They disrespect your time, knowing you will never confront them. Over time, they condition you to accept mistreatment, knowing that your kindness makes you less likely to stand up for yourself. Even strangers can use kindness against you. Scammers, con artists, and dishonest people often rely on the kindness and empathy of others to manipulate them. They create sob stories, appeal to emotions, or pretend to be in desperate situations just to take advantage of someone's goodwill. While it is good to help those in need, it is equally important to be cautious and recognize when someone's intentions are not genuine. The sad reality is that not everyone sees kindness as something to be appreciated. Some people see it as a tool to be used, a weakness to be exploited, or a tactic they can manipulate to get what they want. This is why it is essential to be discerning about who you give your kindness to. Just as you would not blindly trust everyone you meet, you should not blindly offer your kindness to those who have shown they are not worthy of it. Being aware of these behaviors does not mean you should become cold, distant, or unkind. It simply means you should be mindful of the fact that kindness, when given to the wrong people, can be used against you. Protecting yourself from manipulation is not selfish. It is necessary for maintaining your emotional well-being. Recognizing the signs of those who intend to misuse your kindness allows you to make better decisions about where and to whom you extend your generosity. One of the biggest struggles for kind-hearted people is dealing with the guilt of saying no or withholding kindness from those who do not deserve it. Society often teaches us that being a good person means always helping, always forgiving, and always putting others first. But the truth is, not everyone is worthy of your kindness, and you should never feel guilty for recognizing that. Many people struggle with guilt because they have been conditioned to believe that kindness should be limitless and unconditional. While kindness is indeed a beautiful and admirable quality, it is not something that should be given recklessly or to people who continuously take advantage of it. There is a difference between being kind and being naive. And failing to recognize this difference can lead to emotional exhaustion, resentment, and being mistreated. There are people in this world who see kindness as a weakness rather than a virtue. They take what they can from generous individuals, always expecting more while giving nothing in return. These people are often manipulative, skilled at using guilt and emotional pressure to keep you in a cycle of giving. They may say things like, "I thought you were a good person," or "If you really cared, you'd help me," in an attempt to make you feel bad for standing your ground. But true kindness does not mean allowing yourself to be used. It means understanding who is worthy of your generosity and who is not. In personal relationships, guilt often plays a major role in why people continue being kind to those who mistreat them. Perhaps a toxic friend constantly drains your energy with their negativity but never offers support when you need it. Or a family member expects financial help time and time again but refuses to take responsibility for their own actions. Maybe a romantic partner takes advantage of your willingness to forgive, continuously hurting you because they know you will always be kind enough to take them back. These situations are not examples of kindness being reciprocated. They are one-sided relationships where your kindness is being taken for granted. The workplace is another environment where guilt can be used to manipulate kind people. If you are someone who always says yes to extra work, stays late without complaint, or helps others at the expense of your own productivity, you may find yourself overwhelmed, while those who do the bare minimum face no consequences. Employers or colleagues might say things like, "You are the only one who can do this," or "We really need you to step up," to pressure you into taking on more than you should. However, just because you are capable does not mean you are obligated. And refusing to be overworked does not make you selfish. It makes you someone who values their own time and energy. It's also important to recognize that guilt is often a tool of manipulation used by people who know they do not deserve your kindness but want it anyway. Some individuals will intentionally make you feel bad for setting boundaries because they benefit from your inability to say no. They will act as if your refusal to be used as a personal attack, making you feel as though you are the one in the wrong. However, withholding kindness from those who continuously take advantage of you is not cruel. It is necessary for self-preservation. You do not owe kindness to those who repeatedly disrespect, manipulate, or exploit you. Walking away from toxic situations, cutting off people who take advantage of you, and choosing where to invest your kindness wisely does not make you a bad person. It makes you someone who understands their worth. It is not your responsibility to fix everyone's problems, to be endlessly patient with those who refuse to change, or to continue giving to those who only take. If someone only values your kindness when it benefits them, then they are not deserving of it. You should never feel guilty for prioritizing your own well-being over people who have proven they do not respect or appreciate your kindness. Many people mistakenly believe that being kind means always putting others first, even at the expense of their own well-being. However, true kindness is not just about how you treat others. it is also about how you treat yourself. Being kind to yourself is just as important as being kind to those around you. If you are constantly giving, sacrificing, and extending kindness to others while neglecting your own needs, you are not practicing true kindness. You are practicing self-neglect. Self-kindness means recognizing your own worth and treating yourself with the same compassion, patience, and care that you so freely give to others. It means setting boundaries to protect your mental, emotional, and physical health. It means allowing yourself to say no without guilt, taking breaks when needed, and not feeling obligated to always be available to everyone. One of the biggest misconceptions about kindness is that it requires self-sacrifice. While generosity and selflessness are admirable, they should not come at the cost of your own happiness, peace, and well-being. Constantly giving without taking time to recharge yourself leads to burnout, resentment, and emotional exhaustion. If you are always prioritizing others but never prioritizing yourself, you will eventually have nothing left to give. A person who neglects their own needs in the name of kindness is not truly being kind. They are allowing themselves to be drained. Imagine a well that provides water for an entire village. If no one takes the time to refill and maintain the well, it will eventually dry up, leaving no water for anyone. The same applies to kindness. If you do not replenish your energy, take care of your own needs, and set limits, your ability to be kind will diminish over time. Self-kindness also involves recognizing toxic relationships and stepping away from them when necessary. If someone constantly takes advantage of your kindness, manipulates you, or drains your energy without reciprocating, the kindest thing you can do for yourself is to walk away. You should not feel guilty for removing toxic people from your life. You deserve to be surrounded by those who respect, appreciate, and support you, not by those who only take and give nothing in return. Another important aspect of self-kindness is learning to forgive yourself. Many kind-hearted individuals are incredibly hard on themselves. They blame themselves for the mistakes of others, carry guilt for things they had no control over, and struggle with self-doubt. But just as you offer forgiveness and understanding to others, you must also extend that same grace to yourself. You are human and you are allowed to make mistakes. You are allowed to put yourself first. You are allowed to choose your own peace over someone else's expectations. Taking care of yourself is not selfish, it is necessary. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you continuously give without taking time to recharge, you will eventually feel drained, unappreciated, and emotionally exhausted. Prioritizing your own well-being allows you to continue being kind in a way that is healthy and sustainable. True kindness is not about pleasing everyone, avoiding conflict, or allowing yourself to be used. It is about knowing when to give and when to step back. It is about recognizing that you, too, deserve the same kindness you give to others. It is about understanding that protecting your peace, setting boundaries, and valuing your own well-being are all acts of self-respect. At the end of the day, the person you spend the most time with is yourself. The way you treat yourself sets the standard for how others will treat you. If you continuously allow yourself to be drained, disrespected, and taken for granted, people will follow your lead. But when you value yourself, when you practice self-kindness, and when you set boundaries, you teach others that your kindness is not to be exploited, it is to be respected. Kindness is a beautiful and powerful trait, but it should never come at the cost of your own well-being. Not everyone deserves your kindness, and that is not a reflection of you. It is a reflection of them. True kindness is not about being endlessly available, tolerating mistreatment, or allowing yourself to be used. It is about giving where it is valued, setting boundaries where they are needed, and ensuring that your kindness is a source of strength, not exhaustion. You are not obligated to be kind to those who exploit, disrespect, or take advantage of you. You are allowed to say no without guilt, to walk away from toxic situations, and to prioritize your own peace. Remember, kindness is not just something you extend to others, it is something you owe to yourself as well. So be kind, but be wise. Give freely, but only where it is deserved. And most importantly, never forget that your kindness is a gift, not a requirement.